Welcome to Creating Grading Rubrics in Blackboard. A grading rubric is used to define the criteria and standards by which a student's work will be evaluated. Determining these standards prior to assigning work to students creates an advantage for you and your students. Let's look at some of the benefits of using rubrics. For students, they understand the instructor's expectations. They understand how work will be assessed before they start the assignment. They'll understand why they got that grade. For faculty, it improves consistency, reduces ambiguity, and saves time. Blackboard includes a built-in rubric tool. This tool can be found under the Control panel, Course Tools, and scroll down till you find Rubrics. And you can see I already have a couple of rubrics in here, but at this time I want us to reflect on how we want to build our rubrics. So some have one rubric for all assignments, or they have one rubric for discussions, or they have different rubrics for different assignments. And so we want to reflect on how we're going to build these rubrics out. You may already have rubrics that you are working from. In this case, you can just cut and paste into the rubric tool and make adjustments. Or if you're new to rubrics and you don't want to create new ones, or you need to know more about the rubrics, then you may want to seek help from your peers in your department. But whether you're new or an expert at rubrics, the main goal is to ensure consistent and impartial grading that will allow students to focus on your experience. So let's go ahead and create a rubric, and I'm going to click on Create, and we're going to give our rubric a name. And so I'm going to name mine for an individual assignment, which is Class Introduction. And you can put a description in here if you're using several different rubrics. And then we're going to scroll down to the actual heart of the rubric. By default, Blackboard has the list of criterias and level of achievements. These can be easily changed by clicking and edit and give your criteria, or you can leave the formatting that they have. If you want to add a row, because your criterias are in rows, you would add a row this way, and then you would be able to, again, rename your row. If you want to deal with your level of achievements, they are in columns, so you can, they're named novice, competent, proficient, but you can change those titles to whatever you would like meets or needs improvement. And if you needed to add another column, you can do that here. Keep in mind that Blackboard expects the point values to increase from the left to the right. So your lowest score is going to be on the left, and it will build to the highest that will be on the right. So the first thing we have to establish is the rubric type. Are we going to use a percentage? Are we going to use points? Are we going to use no points? And we also have point ranges and percentage ranges. So no points, you can use that if you were going to maybe do attendance. You're going to have some kind of criteria for your attendance, or maybe you're using it for a secondary evaluation for maybe IE. So you can put no points. You can put points. In using points, you're just adding the point criteria that you have determined. There's a point range, so if they were novice, then it would be 1 to maybe 5 points and 6 to 9 points. So that's that range. Percentage is the actual percentage that you want, and by weight. So know that your weight has to equal 100% down here. And you also have to keep a percentage in each criteria, and you can't have any zeros. So like right here, this rename that we added, I'm going to delete this row. So our weights are going to be balanced, and we have so we have 0, 50, and 100 points. So for this, I'm going to use our points, and I'm going to set up my own criteria. So I'm going to delete this row. I'm going to edit, and I'm going to rename this Introduction. And then I'm going to rename this Response, because I'm going to grade the students on how they introduced themselves and how they responded to others. So I'm going to put 0 points is going to be no introduction, and 25 points are going to be minimal introduction, and 50 points is going to be complete introduction. So I don't like the novice, the competent, and proficiency, so I'm going to change those. So I'm going to say that novice is not acceptable. And I'm going to say needs improvement. And then I'm going to say meets expectation. So in their introduction, they either are not introducing themselves, or they put a minimal introduction, or they've completed their introduction. In their responses, they no response to others. For 25 points, they respond to few, and the full 50 points is if they respond to all. So again, I've given it a point value. I've set up my level of achievements. I've set my criterias, and I save. So here is my class introduction. If I want to open that, you can see this is what the students are going to see. So another way to add a rubric is you can go out there to maybe Creative Commons or some other site that has a rubric that you like, and you can import that rubric. So you can do that by browsing my computer, because I already went out there and I looked for my rubrics. And I'm going to find grading rubric, and I'm going to open that, and I'm going to submit. Okay, so now if I go to my cookie crumb and I click on rubrics, then you can see that this grading rubric for a discussion forum came in. because I found this on the TWU website, and if I open it, it's showing me that it's a grading rubric for discussions. It's telling me what the description is, and it's giving me my level of achievements and my contribution to the discussion. So that concludes our rubrics. We were able to introduce a new rubric, and we were able to import a rubric